Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey, Wine, and Writing. I have the lovely Emma Wickers here with me today. Say hi, Emma.
Hello, everybody.
And I am Tasha, your host. We have a bunch of wonderful stuff to talk to you guys about tonight. We were supposed to have Kathleen on with us as well, but I'm not sure what happened. Life happens. It happens. So, but we do have great stuff to talk about tonight, which, we've got stuff about word counts and Pitchslam and passive writing, NanoWrimo, bunches and bunches of stuff. And then on top of that, we actually also have a very, very special guest host who will be coming on here momentarily. You haven't seen her in a while, but she is quite fantastic, and we've missed her oodles and oodles and oodles, and I can't wait for her to be able to be a regular part of the show again. But as soon as she comes on, you'll know who she is. I'm not going to say any names until it happens. But anyways, you can follow us at 30nerdy and at Wicker for Twitter. And then you can also go to my blog, 30nerdyfabulous.wordpress.com, to get all the links for the show tonight. If you come through Google, you're able to do the live Q&A with us. You can tweet questions, use the hashtag WWW, so we know it's you and you're talking to us and all that good jazz. And then, it's Tiff! Ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest host tonight is Miss Tiffany. Oh my God, I almost went with the other name.
Yeah, it changed for the writing stuff. Don't screw it up.
Well, I'm working on it, okay? Yeah, it's been one thing the entire time, and now it's something new. So it's like, you got to give me a minute here, woman. So.
Uh-oh. We have an intruder. Look, say hi. Intruder.
Hi, Jenna.
Hello.
Hi, Sha.
That is Tiff's oldest daughter, Genesis. So, but yeah, so Tiff has been, if you're just tuning in, she was part of the Pitch Wars Whiskey, Wine, and Writing event that we all did. And, she was pretty much in every episode. And she's a most awesome co-host, but she's had some stuff going on. And we just now were able to get her back. Yay!
Yay. Not permanently, just occasionally. I don't know. Feeny wants your tea, Dad. By the way, hi guys. I've moved recently. You can do it by yourself. I've moved recently, so that's what you hear from parents and my 3 kids. So you may or may not get to hear the awesomeness of my mother screaming at the Orioles game tonight. So, of course, we're in Baltimore, and the Orioles are in the playoffs. So, and actually, give me a sec, guys. I'm going to put some sweet and low. My children are trying to drink my dad's no-sugar tea. They just realized it doesn't have sugar in it.
That's not going to work out well.
I don't believe the sugar at the bottom.
There's the other one.
Hey.
Dear dog.
All right, so while Tiff goes to fix up her drink, Emma actually entered herself into Pitchslam, so you know more about it than I do, about the contest and what's going on. So why don't we start off with that, and you can tell us a little bit about what's going on with that.
At the minute, we've all submitted our new 250 first words and our new 35-word pitch, and the results are out Monday, so I'll be waiting up for those. That's 5 a.m. my time, midnight, I think. Midnight Sunday.
So what was it exactly? You guys submitted your 250 words, and then you got feedback on them, and then you had to submit them again? Is that what that is?
Well, the first thing that we submitted was a 35-word pitch.
Okay.
We submitted that, we got feedback on that. Then after that, we submitted 250 words, our first 250, and we got feedback on that. And then the last part of the round was to submit your revised 35 and your revised 250 all in one go, along with some other little bits and bobs, which were fun.
Sorry,
yeah.
Out late. I didn't realize how dark it was in here. Sorry.
So we didn't sleep. Well, I didn't know. A lot of us didn't sleep.
Oh goodness! So it's the nail biting thing. So the results are Monday. So what happens? Is it like a mentor thing? Do you get picked by a mentor? What happens if your 250 gets picked?
It goes in front of agents. There are mentors, and they've been really helpful. And with the 250, there are the slush readers are helping as well. But it goes up in front of the agents basically. Sorry, I've just got Kathy getting in touch with me now, so I'm trying to.
Oh, that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, if your 250 gets picked, it's going straight to the agent round. Is that what's going on?
I think so. How bad is that? Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't enter Pitchslam because I didn't have enough information on it, and I've been trying to get so much other stuff done. It's been insane. Because let me tell you something: that taking a 16-week class in the span of 8 weeks, especially when it's a foreign language and it's all the work and half the time, is insanely hard and ridiculous. It's not easy at all, and it's been driving me bananas. I actually have my final Thursday, and then I have a week off before I have to do it all over again for Spanish too. So I've just been going a little bananas. So, welcome back, Tiff. We were just talking about Pitchslam because Emma is entered in that. So I didn't.
Good luck, Emma.
So but hopefully Emma, we're rooting for you. You can do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am not entered in anything. Thankfully.
Nothing ever again. Ever again.
Ever.
Oh no, she'll enter in stuff.
No, I'm so done.
When you're so done. What does that mean? You're not entering any more writing competitions? What's up with that?
Not for a while. I think I'm actually gonna. God, what's wrong with me? I'm gonna do another set of revisions on auction block.
Okay.
And then I don't know. I think I'm just gonna traditional query for a while. And
that's pretty much the way I think I'm going with Redemption. I'm on the last round of edits right now for Redemption. So I've got the query pretty much squared away to where I want it, and now I'm working on the synopsis because a lot of agents, and we're going to talk about that, require a synopsis. So I'd never really written one. I kind of wrote a part of one for Blood Moon, but we never really did it. And so I went doing and looking for information on synopsis to learn how to write them. So once I finish that up, then I think I'm ready to just start getting Redemption out there and querying it. So I actually don't know if I'm going to wind up entering any competitions either for a while. I want to see how Redemption will stand on its own once I start to query it.
Well, you can't query it because you haven't sent me the query. So.
Well, that's because you haven't been on. But now you're on, so I'll send it to you to your new email. I'll break your email cherry with the query for Redemption. How's that?
My new email.
Yes, your new email. So, but that works out. So
I'll actually be posting a big blog later about the changes. So be on the lookout.
Yes, and hopefully, once everything gets a little bit more settled for Tiff, she'll be back on the show for good. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm just not.
Yeah, you're not pushing it or anything.
No, me pushy, never.
She talked to me yesterday, and she tried to tell me that if I didn't have something new written and in her inbox by Monday, that she was gonna harass me and start blasting my phone. And I was like, dude, that's not happening. No. First off,
okay, Tuesday then.
No. First off, the Orioles are in the playoffs right now. The Ravens.
I don't care.
Yeah, there's stuff to do here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, watching sports does not constitute stuff to do. Right, Emma?
Right.
Ha! By the way, this is not moonshine. I know it's a mason jar, but it's not moonshine. It's just water. So.
Oh, I got excited.
I want to make sure that everybody knew that I'm not drinking moonshine. No, just water.
It's straight vodka. Stop lying.
Shh. Moonshine's technically illegal unless you go to this really rundown liquor place that makes moonshine. Don't ever get it there. It's really bad, and it's not moonshine. It's definitely not moonshine.
It's kerosene.
It's not even that. It's I don't know. It's terrible is what it is. Don't even bother. So what is
You're not going to enter any more contests? I'm definitely entering Nightmare on Query Street. That's coming up.
Yes.
So.
Nightmare on Query Street is coming up. We'll definitely cover it, but again, I don't know that I'm going to enter it either because I believe it's like in 3 days, right? You have to do your submissions for Nightmare on Query Street, and I don't even think Redemption's going to be ready for that. So I don't want to.
Well, if you put your acid gear.
Yeah.
Says the woman
Stop
who
bitching
has
at
it
me.
written in Howell.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
yeah, exactly.
And she has
Kathy is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi,
Hello.
Kathy. Welcome to the show. You guys have 4 awesome hosts tonight. That would be Emma, Kathy, Tiff, and Tasha. What's up? I hope I didn't give you a seizure, just saying. So, Kathy, your Pitchslam as well?
No, I did not.
Okay, so that's a new on that one.
That's me.
So
Oh,
Emma is the only one
got
here
that
in
entered.
Pitchslam, so it's like we're all rooting for you and
Thank you.
vibes your way.
I hope that it's successful. I'm not confident, but it's.
Let me ask you a question for Pitchslam. When you did you have to fill out a form
No
that
writer.
spoke about word count or anything? Like how long your book is?
Yeah, we had to include our word count.
Okay.
I put 76 because it was hovering between the 75 to 76k mark, and I knew the revisions for the 250.
Okay. So that kind of brings me to my next topic, which is word counts. I follow 10 queries, hashtag 10 queries, which is where agents will talk about 10 queries they're going through on their slush pile and, you know, why they like it, why they don't like it. And this one particular tweet just made my jaw drop because I was like, somebody submitted a 400,000 word sci-fi novel.
How many words?
400,000 words.
Oh, all that work. I just want to give him a big hug.
Work to submit it to an agent that and I think it's what, like 6 months is the grace period once you submit a novel and you're denied. You know, you can't submit to the same agent for like 6 months, and there better be like some revisions or something going on there before you submit it. So
We're looking at some hefty revisions then.
yeah, this person, I don't know who they were because it's not like they name names, but they're going to need some hefty revisions because, guys, 400,000 words for a debut, especially if you're going for your first agent, way, way, way too big. You need to make sure you do your research on word counts, especially for your genre.
Like, seriously? Are Tolkien and Martin even that long? Because I don't
think so.
I mean, I think, like, Martin can write about nothing and make it something, and his word counts are ridiculous. I don't even think he hits 400K.
Yeah, but okay, if you look at
Wikipedia.
if you look at The Hobbit, though, they made 3 2-hour films out of a book that's like 120 pages.
It's like this big.
It's not that big. Okay, so you're looking at greats who have, you know, they're making 3 huge movies off of a teeny tiny little book. They're really stretching it. Like, really, they're just putting details into it. So, you know, but you really...
Like, I'm sorry, like, I would never, like, I don't give a shit how good it is. I would never read anything that's 400K. Like, it's just not gonna, like, I love Game of Thrones, and the whole series of A Song of Ice and Fire, and even Martin pushes it with his word count for me to get through.
I don't think that the last book of Harry Potter was that big. That's just insanity. I mean, you guys, I understand that everybody wants their book out and they want to write their book the way they want to write their book, but if your book is that big and there is just no possible way, then you need to go the way of Tolkien and Martin and break it up into a series. That's going to be your best bet at that point. But definitely
my dad just said if it's not written like Dr. Seuss, he ain't reading it.
If it's not written like Dr. Seuss, he ain't reading it. Hi, Dad. Hope you had a good birthday. So
no, not 400 pages, Dad. 400,000 words, which is like 900 pages. Like, that's like a book like this effing thick.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And as a debut, you're probably never going to get picked up for that.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, 198,000 words.
There you
400,000 words shouldn't be a, like, 12th novel, let alone a debut novel. F all that.
No, honestly, at that point, that book should be broken up into multiple novels.
Because you have to take into seriously, you have to take into consideration like how much time people have to read, and
Yeah.
seriously, like that, like picking that book up and being like, I'm gonna read this whole book. It's 400,000 words, unless you're like Dr. Reed off Criminal Minds. Is gonna take you like 8 months to get through. Nobody wants to read the same book for 8 months. F all that noise.
No, that's just way too big, and you know, there's got to be places. If you want it to be one book, there's got to be places to condense. There's got to be some rambling writing. There's got to be something that you can cut out of that to start bringing it down.
I want to know how you get 400,000 words into one book. I want to know what the fuck exactly you fucking wrote about. Like, did you describe like the hair on your character's ass to get that many words?
I have no idea. It's just
I suddenly need
a lot of words, and for sci-fi especially, that is, oh my god. That's why I say, especially with your genre. Genres have different word counts that's acceptable.
Yeah.
A young adult.
I'm cutting 15K off auction block.
Yeah, so for the sci-fi should be 90 to 125k, not 400k.
Yeah, I mean, even Redemption, it's at 71k now, and I posted on the, and you can find this on my blog too, 30 Nerdy Fabulous, for literaryrejections.com, says that literary, commercial, and women's fiction and romance fiction is anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000. But I don't know, commercial to me is kind of genre fiction. I don't know why it's in a separate category, but they say commercial and women's fiction should be 80,000 to 110,000. So you definitely need to do your research before you start querying an agent about your book, because if you query an agent and it's way outside the limit, whether it's too high or too low in number, you're automatically out of the running because they're not even going to pay attention to it.
Natasha, if you ever hand me a 400K book and say, I want you to critique this, I'm going to send you a pipe bomb in the mail.
Can we not?
I'm serious.
Negative. We're not going to do that. So Kathy, you're all quiet over there. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Oh, well, my fantasy novel is 93K, and I've been told that's too long.
Really? Like, is it high fantasy or?
Well, the problem is I end up world building a ton of world building. I think I build up at least 4 worlds that she hangs out in different chapters, but there's also worlds in between. So I kind of need all those words in there, but I've been told it's long. But I'm hanging it with 93 for a while to see what happens.
Yeah, because I've got here 90 to 100k for fantasy as the general.
Yeah. Generally, fantasy runs a little bit longer because of the world building. That's at least my opinion on it. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody watching has any thoughts or opinions or any great links for people to do a little bit of research on the genres and what their word count should be. Feel free to tweet it to us or put it in the Q&A section or hit up the blog. Anything, any which way you want to go.
Yeah, my the first book I ever read was young adult like urban fantasy. It was 76K.
For a young adult, that actually runs kind of long, but again, it was fantasy, so you've got world building. So,
yep.
And that's why fantasy generally is a little bit longer, because of the world building. You can't put out a fantasy novel in a totally different alternate verse of the world, whether it's urban fantasy, high fantasy, historical fantasy, whatever, without setting the world. If we don't know the laws of the land, we don't really know what's going on.
And then auction block is romantic suspense, and it's 105K, which is why I'm taking 15 off to put it under the 90K mark, because 90K is like the max for romantic suspense. So we will be knocking off, and I already know one. So from Kara did look at the first chapter after I did the first set of revisions. So the Tasha has read my book, so she'll know what I'm talking about. For anybody who's watching, who's read it. So the beginning part, that is the flashback.
Okay, yes.
Remember, I'm taking the whole thing out.
I'm not too heartbroken about that.
Yeah, neither am I. I thought I would be. I really like
I'm
that.
not too heartbroken about that. I think that's going to make it stronger because you can put more into it and build that relationship with her and Jax in a completely, more intricate way without spelling it out like that. So I think that's good. I think that's
so
good.
that's going to go, and I'm excited to make some other changes that Kara did. So we're actually Blake's perspective. So I'm excited. If I could just focus and actually do anything, it'd be fantastic.
That's awesome. So, all right. So I'm going to move on from the word counts because the show only does run an hour now. We don't do 2 hours anymore because that's long and rambling. Nobody wants to hear this stuff.
God.
So, so we went over Pitchslam and word counts. I do want to mention, and I will go ahead and link this as well. Rhonda Helms just debuted her new book, Scratch, which is a new adult romance. There is an excerpt on my blog. I'm going to also link that in the showcase, but you can also go straight to the blog, 30nerdyfabulous.wordpress.com. But I'm putting it here so you can do that and take a look at it. She also works for Carina Press, I believe. I want to say Carina. Sorry, Carina Press. I believe so, but I'm going to double check on that because pretty sure. Yes, Carina Press. So she also works for Carina Press. She is very wonderful, a very wonderful person, always posting on Twitter, does a lot of giveaways, and is a fantastic writer. I have read 2 of her books, which is One Broke Girl and Two Little Lies, also new adult romance, and she is just a great writer. So I haven't read Scratch yet. I'm going to pick it up when I have a little bit of extra money, but as soon as I have it, I'll get it, and then I'll let you know how it is, but I would just say, take the leap and get the book. So, and Emma, what are you reading right now?
I am not reading anything. It's terrible, isn't it? I'm beta reading. I'm beta reading one of Jake Devlin's novels, and he's already got 2 out, and you should really pick them up. Visit jakedevlin.com to see all his novels, and I'm beta reading Sub Rosa, and it's so funny. His language is brilliant.
That's awesome. And Kathy, what about you?
I'm reading The Gateway Through Which They Came by Heather Murray, who we probably all know from Twitter.
Are you beta reading it or is it out?
No, it's out. And I went and bought it. I won some bookmarks from her not long ago, so I was excited to get this one. It's a little creepy and a little cool, so it's just right up my alley.
It works out very, very well for me anyway. I like that. So so it's a lot of fun. What can I say? I'm weird like that. That's why actually we were talking about, did you finally watch all of American Horror Story?
No, and you know what? I need to tonight. I know, I need to. Darn life, kill real life.
Okay, the clown, by the way, I don't know if anybody has, like, huge fear of clowns. It seems like clowns are coming back, like, in the horror scene, but the clown in American Horror Story Freak Show is, I'm scared of clowns, but I'm not normally scared of scary clowns. I'm normally scared of white-faced, the red-nosed, normal clowns. Those freak me out because my cousin had me watch it when I was 7. Okay? So normally if it's like an evil clown, I'm okay. I don't mind the demonic clowns. They don't bother me. The clown from American Horror Story Freak Show kind of just, it's kind of creepy. It scared me just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think it's the teeth. The teeth. God. Leviathans from Supernatural aren't even that scary, okay? The thing was creepy. So, but yeah, I've also noticed in a lot of books that are being given away, especially right now because it's Halloween, that a lot of clown stuff is coming out and being put out there. So that's kind of interesting.
Ew.
So, yeah, you missed that whole conversation.
Yeah, sorry. I'm glad. I don't like clowns.
So, and then also, I don't know who's doing it, who's not NanoWrimo. Who's doing NanoWrimo? I'm the only one doing NanoWrimo.
So we can all review.
Okay, so if you've never done or never heard of NanoWrimo, NanoWrimo stands for National Novel Writing Month. It takes place in November. The goal is to write a 50,000-word novel in the month of November. You start the last day of November. You can go to their website, at nanowrimo.org, and I'll actually go ahead and pull that up and put it in the showcase for you. But they have a lot of goodies. Like if you like to, go through get certain writer things, they generally have like writer goodies and winter goodies and all kinds of stuff. And there's forums for your areas where you can find local write-ins. So you may find some great writing partners if you don't already have them. They also have different forums for genres and everything on there, and it's a lot of fun. What?
You know why I don't do NanoWrimo?
Yeah, well, you should. It's a lot of fun.
No. Why do I need a whole month to write a novel? I'm already the shit at that, so I don't really need a whole month. I'll just do it.
Well, because it has to take the whole month, but you have the whole month.
Did you? I'm like, she's like, she told me the other day, she's like, you're doing NanoWrimo. I'm like, did you forget how long I read a 105K novel in how many days? What? I'm sorry.
13.
No, I'm good. In 13 days? What? Yeah. Shh. Done. Don't. No. Not doing it.
I'm so sorry if I just start randomly sneezing. I've had allergies off and on because it's fall, which, I know is like summer for everybody else, but slightly less deathly hot in Florida. But yeah, it still puts out a lot of ragweed and makes me sneeze. So okay, so yeah, well, it is a lot of fun, and it gives you like there's a word count things you can play with and stuff you can put on your blog and Flair and everything like that. And it's really a lot of fun. You guys meet a lot of people in your local area for the for NanoWrimo. And it's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of kids writing, and it gets a lot of people writing in general, and all that good stuff. So actually, Blood Moon was my nano novel from last year, but I didn't connect the whole novel. I only wrote the scenes that I really had a muse to write. So when it was done, I got the 50,000 words, but it wasn't a complete beginning to end novel. And I had to add the interconnecting scenes afterwards. So I didn't even call it like draft 2. It was version 1.5. So I had a whole novel. And all of my co-hosts are quiet. This is not good.
I just couldn't write.
I actually did.
In November, I'm doing Project Roots Way, which is a story competition that Roots Publishing puts on. They give you a story prompt on Sunday, and then you turn it in Thursday. I did it last November, and have 2 of those stories will be published in their anthology they're going to put out on Halloween. Actually, it comes out on Halloween, and it's I had a really good time doing it, writing stories just one a week. It was fun.
Nice.
That's awesome. I have not heard of that before, but that's awesome. And you're gonna
I'll be buying it when it comes out.
It's Twisted Fairy Tales.
Twisted Fairy Tales.
Twisted. I did 2 of my stories are in that, and then I have an illustration I did for one of the stories in that too. So
I can't even draw a stick figure. Like it's just I'm terrible at drawing. I'll write till the end of time. I
can't draw a stick figure either. Don't feel bad.
Like the last episode was on the comic day, and my cousin was just, and not just her, like all the people sitting at these tables at the comic shop were drawing. Like it was. I'm like, it's magic, look, because I don't know how you do it so fast and it comes out so pretty. So.
All right, Tasha, I have to run, guys. So.
All right, Tiff. Well, thanks for coming on. We love you. We miss you. Get your butt online more often.
I'll see you all very soon.
All right.
See ya. Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right. So, Tiff is off for now, but she'll. It was good having her. So, sorry, I lost my spot now. So one of the other things, since we're talking about actual writing, that we were going to talk about tonight is adverbs and passive writing. And Emma's shaking her head. Why are you shaking your head?
I hate adverbs.
We all hate adverbs, but they slip into writing so easily.
Yeah.
So
they're my enemy.
They actually say adverbs is lazy writing, and it's basically because if you use an adverb, which, you know, it modifies an action and it uses ly, so basically you're telling quickly, you know, stuff like that. It's just telling as opposed to painting the scene and showing us what's going on, and that's why they say it's lazy writing, because it's like you're taking the easy way out when it comes to adverbs. And that doesn't mean you can't ever use an adverb. There are times and places for adverbs, but if you're using them in every sentence to describe everything, you're definitely gonna want to go back and, you know, go through everything and be like, oh, hey, maybe I should change that.
Which I had to do.
Well, we all have to do it. I mean, especially in first drafts, we don't necessarily realize we're doing it.
No.
So I think it was Jen Blackwood who said, you know, editing is where the magic happens, and that's when you start going back through everything. Speaking of which, both Emma and Kathy went over Redemption for me, and between them, yeah, I'm almost done editing it, because they're awesome like that. So... But, yeah, I remember Emma, I think, got a little frustrated with us with the passive writing, too.
Bloody passive writing. It's fixed now. That's the main thing. But I think that was probably my hardest fix to do, the passive writing.
And that's basically where, though you're telling, like, in a third-person past tense, you're not telling the story within the action. You're kind of making the action it already happened, as opposed to, like, she was walking as opposed to she walked. You're going to get a stronger sentence with she walked to the store than she was walking to the store. It pulls the reader right into the action, engages them into the story. So that's why you got to look for the whens, and, or not the whens, I'm sorry, the wers and the wases especially will definitely be a sign of passive writing.
Yeah, I had a few wases, and that a couple of them I found really difficult to change, but I did it in the end.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's a complete pain in the ass trying to change your wases and wers, because you're like, how the hell am I going to reword this? And it could be
because I wrote I was in love with him, and then I thought, well, how bloody hell am I going to change that? And I did change it, but I think it took up more than just that little bit.
And I think it was Kathy who came up with what we could use. Didn't you come up with something for that, Kathy?
Yeah.
Probably.
She doesn't remember. She's like, I don't remember.
Yeah. She did.
I mean, we talk on Twitter and go through this stuff like all day, so, you know, it could. I don't remember half the stuff we talk on Twitter about either.
Your notes down the side of my manuscript are hilarious at times. They're really funny.
I don't know.
One was Ly is evil, and I was like, well, who's Ly? I don't know who this Ly person is. I haven't written a character called Ly or Lie or Advert. Adverts are evil. No.
That's what I say. I'm like, they're the bane of my existence, especially when I go through like a rough draft or something and I just see them everywhere and I'm like, stab. Stab! So, yeah, I'm terrible with that, so.
I'm that way with filter words. All the I saw, I heard, I felt, I hate filter words.
Yeah, a good way to get rid of that is to just, they did it, like, instead of I saw, you know, the tree, I saw the trees, well, the trees are, you know, waving in the wind, or the wind rustled the leaves on the trees, or whatever, as opposed to I saw the wind rustle the leaves on the trees. So, you don't need to say the I saw, I felt, because another problem with that is, especially in first person, it's adding so many extra I's in there, and for first person, you want the I's to be background. You don't want it to be in the forefront of your novel.
That was another thing I did a lot of. I felt blur. I saw blur. And each time I did, Kathy poked me with a stick.
The first novel like that I ever completed I don't know where it is. I'm sure I still have it somewhere. Yeah, I did the same thing. It was like there were 3 I's in every sentence. I walked, I heard, I ran, I smelled, like everything was I, and I look back on it like a year later. I was like, I don't know what the hell I just did. Like, yeah, we don't ever need to do that again. So, and then I used to write in first person all the time, and it seems I've gone to third. It wasn't an intentional leap, it just kind of happened.
And
See, I
my
used to
book
do
was
the
originally
opposite.
written in third.
What
Sorry,
happened?
Kathy. Let Kathy speak.
Oh, no. No, I did the opposite. I went from third to first and found I like first now.
Yeah, I like first. Fractured Immortal was originally written in third person, and sort of, I don't know how many chapters into it I was, a fair few. I thought this just isn't working. I'm not getting the voice in there. I need to be her, so I became her. And it works better, I think. Well, yeah, it definitely works better.
Yeah, and another thing I've noticed is that I used to be like a pantser. Like, I never used to plot my novels. Even on I did the whole writing writing process blog tour thingy. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm a pantser. I wing it, except for NanoWrimo. And now it's like, if I think of a novel, I'm starting to outline it, like, no matter what it is. And I'm like, when the hell did this happen? This is not how I used to do it, but I found if I at least do little note cards on it, and I do like a rough outline, not specifics, but just a rough outline, it helps to take the edge off that massive, I need to start it now, and it gets me to figure out what I'm going to do after I start it, because I have so many started novels that aren't finished, because I had no idea where they were going. It was like, oh, where you going? What you doing? Yeah, no.
I'm a complete pantser. I can't. Well, I've tried, and I write down what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden they're off somewhere else.
That's why I'm kind of finding that being a plotter for me might be a little bit better than being a pantser, because apparently being a pantser it doesn't seem to be working out for me.
You have to do it well.
Exactly. So, and this seems to be working, because actually I have it all outlined for NanoWrimo, but I'm still debating. The only reason I haven't started that particular novel is because I'm finishing the edits for Redemption, but if I finish the edits for Redemption before November, that may not be a nano novel. It may just be a novel that I write, because I really like the concept of it. So
You've got, what, 3 weeks? So
yeah.
just do a slow edit on Redemption.
I don't want to do a slow edit on Redemption. I want to get it out there into queries. So that's my plan for it, anyways. So yeah. But speaking of the other thing I wanted to go over today is, and I am by no means an expert on the synopsis. I've actually never really kind of written one. I did a little bit for Blood Moon, but I don't think I ever finished it because I wound up doing Pitch Wars and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I am not a great synopsis writer. And Emma, you said you hadn't written one yet either, right?
Nope, not written one yet.
What about you, Kathy?
Oh, I've written a few of them. They're
Yeah.
not my favorite things to write.
I don't think they're anybody's favorite things to write. I think that I call them the Q&S just need to be salt and burn the bitches. That's it. So, but yeah, so synopsis writing, like, I started doing some research on it, and if you go to my blog, there's 3 great links to Jane Friedman and Vivian Beck and fiction writers, and you can go through and see all their suggestions for the synopsis. Like, one thing that I did not know when I started, I basically was like, oh, it's a term paper type thing where you are just basically doing a recap on it. And so I did the original synopsis for Redemption in third person, but I did it in past tense. Well, as I'm going through finding all this information, I found out a synopsis is always supposed to be written in third person present tense. So that blew that synopsis right out the water. That had to be completely rewritten.
Heartbreaking.
Not really, because the original was pretty crappy anyway. So my creative Wait, no, not my Wolf. I think he was the one who gave me the quote. I think it's another Hemingway quote where it's the first draft of anything is crap. So, but yeah, so I like the one from Vivian Beck. She's got a really, 5 steps to writing the synopsis, which is to start with the hook, and then introduce your characters, and then the other thing I didn't realize when I wrote the original synopsis is that you're supposed to capitalize your characters when you're first introducing them. So,
Really?
Molly Harper is my protagonist, and in my original synopsis, I didn't have her name capitalized the first time I mentioned her. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to do that. But you only do it the first time you mention them. So it's like Molly Harper, blah, blah, blah. Next time I say Molly, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Aiden Spencer, first time I mention him, it's capitalized, but the next time it's regular. So anytime, even if it's like Molly's father, you capitalize that the first time.
Really?
And I think that's so they know how many characters you have in the synopsis, so it's easy for them to pick out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my take on it.
Did you include all of your characters in the synopsis?
No, you don't want to put all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I've got quite a team in my book.
Well, I believe it's protagonist, antagonist, love interest if there is one, and then everybody else should be, like I said, like Molly's father, like if you have to mention them. But you're not supposed to mention all the side plots and stuff. You're supposed to keep the synopsis pretty mainstream to the main plot.
Yeah.
And you have to give the ending.
Yes.
So if you don't give the ending, apparently it's not a synopsis. But you have to give away the ending. But everybody knows there's generally subplots and side plots in novels, but when you're doing the synopsis, you want to keep straight to that main plot. You want to go straight down that road and only do the characters that are needed. One of the websites I actually found, if you Google synopsis writing at Writer's Digest, they do mock ones for, like, they did one for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and all these different movies, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way. I think it's kind of like Query Shark, but for synopsis writing, and it's at Writer's Digest, so it's a lot of fun to read and get an idea of what they're looking for in a synopsis.
I always think of synopsis as letting the agent or editor or whoever's reading it know where the story goes, that they know you have it plotted out, that how it ends. This is just to show them that there is a story to it, so they can see your writing. And yeah, it's you're just telling them where the story goes. I don't see it as this huge, you have to write it perfectly. I don't know. I always see it as just telling them you have a story in there. They see your writing in your sample chapters. You can hook them with your query. This is just a tool so they know you've got a story.
And you don't just waffle on for 90k words.
So they know you actually know where your story's going and you didn't just ramble on.
Yeah. Because I think I could describe a tree in 90k words.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of words to describe a tree. I don't know that I want to know that much about the tree.
I'm getting good at describing trees.
Unless it's like the tree of life and is an integral part of the plot, I don't want to know that much about the tree. I just don't. So, but the 5 steps, according to Vivian Beck, are start with a hook, which also Kara Nelson, who does Thoughts from the Agent Desk, she actually has a blog post on hooks, but for the query, which I prefer to do hooks for the query. You don't have to, but I kind of like them. I kind of feel like it's the tagline for a movie and it's going to draw them in to read it. So starting with a good hook, I guess, with your synopsis is just as important because you want to make sure they're drawn in to read it. So start with the hook, introduction of characters, construct the body of your synopsis, use 3 or 4 paragraphs to write the crisis and resolution of your story, and then rewrite your synopsis until each sentence is polished to the point of perfection. So don't send a rough draft, folks.
But can we really reach perfection, kids? Come on now.
No, I don't. So I don't think there's any such thing. And I think it's the imperfections that make something great anyway. So if everything was perfect, that would kind of be boring. Be completely boring. So, but and then there's the other links. One thing also that I had talked to Kathy about, actually, because I wasn't sure. for synopsis writing, if it's one page, it's supposed to be single-spaced, and it's not supposed to be indented. You're just supposed to have the extra, or the extra space between the paragraphs, so they're not completely together, just a little bit of space. Like, don't double space the paragraphs, just do one enter and it gives you that little bit of space, and then you don't indent. But after that, apparently, if it's like 2 or 3 pages, which I don't think you necessarily want it to be more than 2 pages. Everything I've seen is basically keep it to 1 or 2 pages. But if it's 2 pages or more, I've seen double space with the indents. So, does that sound right to you, Kathy?
Yes, and I tend to just keep synopsis to 1 pages myself, just because why do I want to drag the synopsis thing out to 2 or 3 pages? I don't. Let's get it done. Move on.
I mean, you need to put feeling into your synopsis, but you don't want to retell the story. You want to keep it concise. You want to try to keep it, I think. That's why I was so happy when I got Redemption down to 1 page for the synopsis. I was like, victory is mine! So, because you can get really wordy, and you don't realize you're getting wordy. It's like, well, she does this, and then she does that, and then it's like, no, wait, no, we don't need to do a step by step. We need to put the major steps in here. And that's where you got to learn it, is you don't need every little step of your story. You need the major steps. Major steps. So,
yes, focus on the main theme of the book, and just do that.
Yes.
Damn, I'm going to have to take her going for a pee out in my synopsis now.
So, yeah, so I'm, a lot of this stuff I learn as I go. So, I'm just doing the best I can. But I think that's for anybody, so I don't think anybody even just starting off should feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm never going to make it. Well, yeah, I felt the same way when I first started, and then you wind up just learning bit by bit. And you continue on, and if you get a rejection, then you get a rejection. I've gotten 2 rejections for Blood Moon, so far, and it is what it is. You learn. I mean, they were both personalized, which made me feel kind of good, because I was like, at least in that form. But but even if it's form, then you learn, you move on, and you tweak your manuscript more. And that's the thing about writing, is it's kind of never done.
And also, everything is your own personal thing. And there is no set formula for queries or synopses. And, one query will work really great for one person, and it won't work for another person. So you kind of, in the end, have to stick with who you are and what you do, and not worry too much about these rules that everybody seems to set, because they're not set rules. Everybody's got rules.
Somebody, and I can't remember who said it, somebody said that there are like 3 main rules of writing. Unfortunately, nobody knows what they are. So, I mean, it is what it is. And it all comes back to this business being very subjective. Just like not everybody in the world's going to like your book. It's just not going to happen, guys. Everybody has different tastes.
And that was one of the common themes on Pitchslam, is that not everybody is going to like the way that you write. Not everyone's going to like your book. It's impossible.
Nope, definitely not possible. So, you just do your best. And that's another thing, though, is that if you follow the rules too much, if you know the rules, then you can break them. But you have to know the rules before you can break them. Still, if you go too much by what one person says, like when we critique each other's works, we're like, look, take what you want, toss the rest. Make sure you stay true to yourself, because I could say one thing to Emma and Kathy could say another thing. So too.
You too. It's scary how identical the things that you say are.
Okay, but in general, your critique partners, one might say, this sucks, you need to reword it, and the other one might say, this is great, don't do anything. Well, it's up to you to decide. Does this fit your story the way it is, or should you reword it? Does it need to be tweaked as much as this person says? You still have to stay true to yourself and your story. So there might be conflicting ways, because they don't have the same tastes, or they don't, think the same way. So at that point, that's when you got to look at it and say, do I want to leave it? Do I want to tweak it the way they suggested? Or do I want to tweak it a completely different way that I just came up with? What? What's so funny?
So you don't have a cat?
No, it's just how many times I look at something and somebody critiques it, and then I look at it and go, you know what? I'm just going to do it this total other way over here.
And
Not
that's,
listen to anybody.
but that's the thing about critiques is it gives you perspective into things you may not see yourself because you've written them. But once you see it, you come up with your own ideas of how to fix it. You don't have to follow what the person says. The critique is there to make you aware that something may or may not be working, that a word is wrong. Like, oh my God, Kathy caught so many like words and catch because they're spelled right, but they're the completely wrong word. like you know, of off instead of you know, and singing to him when it should be singing to her, or something like that. And she's like, you mean her, right?
My characters keep turning into pirates. Instead of saying, ow, my leg, it's, ow, me leg.
Yeah, so it's like, so that's what the critique partners are there for. They make you aware. They catch the errors that the word processors and stuff are not going to catch.
Yeah.
And then you fix it the way you want to fix it that's going to fit your story.
It's amazing how, as the writer, you can miss those little tiny words. And that's why it's so incredibly important that somebody else reads it, because they'll spot those little words.
Multiple people. People. You need multiple critique partners. Having one is great and fantastic, and it's awesome, but you do need multiple people to read it, because even a second set of eyes are going to miss something that maybe a third or fourth pair of eyes will pick up. It just is what it is. Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's going to catch the same thing. Like, you know, Kathy is really good at the layering, while Emma's really good at the characterization and the voice of the characters and stuff like that. So we all have different things that we're really good at, and so having a group that is good at different things brings it together as a whole in your manuscript when you see the critiques from each of them.
Absolutely.
So.
Me agrees, me hearties.
Wait, put the pirate hat on if you're going to go all pirate, Emma. There you go. Yeah. So we've got about 5 minutes left. Ladies, is there anything you'd like to say in closing before we start to wrap up?
No, just to everybody taking part in Pitchslam, I wish you all the best of luck. I've read some really good 250s, and there are some incredible people entering, and I hope that everybody wins.
Is that an actual thing? Can everybody win?
No.
Oh.
I was gonna say, is that like the trophies they give out in little leagues now? That even though you didn't win, you get a trophy. See, Kathy knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's why she's laughing so hard.
Oh, we have that over here as well now. Yeah, no one's allowed to win anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. But so, Kathy, what about you? Anything to say in closing?
You know, in the end, you gotta love what you do, and that's it. Just if you don't love it, don't do it. If you love it, do it to the best of your ability, and everything will be fine.
Yep. No matter what, people, just keep writing. You'll get better. You'll learn. You'll make mistakes. You'll get rejections, and you'll try again. So, you know, don't take everything so to heart. Make sure that you put yourself out there and that you put your work out there, because if you don't, you're never going to learn enough to make it in the business.
And if you get negative feedback or feedback that you don't like, just step away, take a breath, and calm down.
And again, you don't have to listen to all the feedback. And that's not to say don't listen to any feedback. Don't think your story's perfect. Take it into consideration. You know, it may be like, I really hate this scene, which I've gotten before. It's like, I really hate this scene. Like, no, you don't understand. I hate this scene. And you're just kind of like, okay, what don't you like about it, you know? And then you kind of can tweak it and get more opinions and stuff like that. But, you know, if people aren't liking it as a whole, there might be something wrong with it if you're just, you know. But you can't take everything to heart, and you can't ignore everything and think your manuscript is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, All right, ladies, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, this is Emma. This is
Hello.
Kathleen. And I'm Tasha. You can go ahead and go to 30nerdyfabulous.wordpress.com. You can follow me at 30nerdy on Twitter. Emma is at ELWicker. And Kathy is at Kathleen Palm, right?
They are awesome. Follow them.
I'm sorry, what?
I said that you're both awesome and everybody should follow you.
You're insane. It's okay. But we will be back next week. We've got some great guests lined up and all that good jazz. So have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe, have fun, and keep writing. Bye.
Toodles.